the DORK podcast with Rich Keefe. It's the DORK podcast with Davey. It's the DORK podcast. Hashtag. It's the hashtag DORK podcast.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Hashtag Dork. My name is Rich Keefe, joined as always by Davey Eyeballs. He is Red Right Hand Von Deadite, and he is promo code Ron Von D. Private David, fuck all hail, the king of ginger ale. It's Ryan. Davey, how are you?
I'm good. So they used that song in Dumb and Dumber too, didn't they?
I think so.
Yeah. I remember because I remember I was telling the wife about as we were watching Scream. I was like, she's like, this song's been in every Scream. And I was like, it's also been in Dumb and Dumber.
I don't
think that's right.
I don't think it was in Scream 4. I could be wrong. I don't think it was in there.
No.
Should have been. How are things?
Things are good. We're just trucking right along.
Another day, another dollar.
Another day. Yeah, more money, more problems.
For Christ's sake, you can say that again. Well, we have a jam-packed episode, so let's not waste any time. Let's get right to it.
This week in DORK. Yeah.
Right, we got the first 3 episodes of the HBO Max series Peacemaker, of course, the John Cena show from the Suicide Squad. Have you watched all 3 episodes?
I have watched the first 2, and I am very impressed with this show so far.
Great.
Yes.
I love it. It's full go. It's if you like the Suicide Squad, and we both did, it was our movie of the year. And hell, Peacemaker was actually our character of the year.
Yes.
And so he gets his own spin-off show. It is written and directed by James Gunn, who of course did the movie, also did Guardians of the Galaxy. And it is very much him. It is like an R-rated Guardians is basically what you got. It's full Peacemaker, right? Like we were saying last week, full MacGruber. It's full MacGruber. It's full Peacemaker. And John Cena is perfect for this character. The one thing I was worried about, which has already been proven to be, I don't need to be worried about it, was the supporting cast. Because it's not the Suicide Squad. It's Peacemaker, a couple of people that worked for Waller, a couple of new characters. So I'm like, all right, how is this going to be? I kind of like the dynamic so far, and I'm pretty fascinated to see where it goes.
I'm fascinated. I say again, I'm only 2 episodes in, so they might have addressed this in the 3rd, but the character who plays Vigilante, who's like his sidekick,
awesome.
I think that kid's going to be good. The first time you meet him, I won't give it away, but he has this exchange with a coworker that's like the most awkward, funny thing.
It's great.
I've seen.
You haven't even been to episode 3 yet. So Vigilante's great. And that's a real DC character. These are all real DC characters. And it's good. The character of Harcourt, who worked for Argus, was in the movie, was one of the people there. And now she's being punished. And that was like sort of the ending of it. And then so she has to work with Peacemaker. Did you know, Ryan, that she is in a long-term relationship with James Gunn?
I did not know that, but I did know that she is very talented. And had the show come out, she could be a candidate for a certain category next
100%.
year. And one of the things I find fascinating about her, and I love watching dance sequences. So the opening credits of Peacemaker is this amazing choreographed dance.
Yep.
And it's clear that she has had some dance training because nobody can dance but her.
She can dance.
Yeah.
Dance if she wants to. She can leave her friends behind.
And it's funny because the whole thing's supposed to be bad, but she's trying really hard to not be good, and she's still good at it.
She's excellent in this. Like she's not just quite fetching, but she is a very, very good character in this. But yeah, I had no idea who she was, so I looked her up, and I'm like, oh, she's been going out. She's like James Gunn's partner. I don't think they're married, but they've been together since like 2015.
Common law wife.
James Gunn also was married to Pam Beesly from The Office for like 8 years.
I didn't know that. Yeah. And he
so
directed a couple episodes of The Office.
Got it. So so those 2 are an item, and so she is she's good. But yeah, the supporting cast is good. So I'm all in on Peacemaker, and it's good to have another couple of shows, like weekly shows to watch.
Yes.
So I got Righteous Gemstones I watch every Sunday. Peacemaker I watch every whatever it was coming out on Thursday. Wednesday I'm watching the Book of Boba Fett every week.
Sure.
3 episodes in. Where are you at on Book of Boba Fett?
So I like it. I think it's a little bit campier. It's a little bit kid friendly than Mandalorian, which you'd think it would be the other way. This one, the latest episode was confusing. I thought we were going somewhere nice. We're kind of tracking nicely.
Yeah.
And then this third episode, directed by Robert Rodriguez, kind of like it's weird. There's
Yeah,
a
the second
weird,
half is kind of it's like, what are we doing here?
and again, we're not spoiling anything right now, but there's a cameo in this one, and I think this character is going to show up a couple more times because of who he is. That is a 100% Robert Rodriguez ad, and I love this guy,
Yeah.
but he doesn't really fit.
Yes. Yeah,
You
it's
know
a
what I'm
weird
talking
fit.
about? Yeah.
Yeah, no, and what he's doing is he's an important character in a sense because of what
Yes.
he's doing.
So you're going to see him again, but it doesn't feel right.
Yeah, it's one of those shows that I like. I like just experiencing anything in the Star Wars universe, but it's not as good as The Mandalorian at all.
Not yet. No.
I don't know, because I'm not in love with a lot of the characters. Like, at least with The Mandalorian, especially this last season, where they brought in like the Ahsoka Tano one-off, they brought in like the Bo-Katan one-off, like they brought in some of that stuff. So far, this one's kind of eh. So
You
we'll see
know,
where.
you know who needs his own spin-off show right now is Black Chrysanthemum.
Oh yeah,
the Wookiee. He needs his own show.
he's a bad mamma jamma. Yep.
Yeah.
They should just do like a full-out bounty hunter show, because if the Mandalorian's not really a bounty hunter anymore and Boba Fett's not a bounty hunter anymore, you're getting away from some of the cool stuff that they do.
I would love to see a Star Wars bounty hunter show with who's the pistolero there, the blue guy?
Cad Bane.
Cad Bane.
Cad Bane would be sick.
Mm-hmm.
Get a show like that. And then you could get this big giant Wookiee in there too.
Mm-hmm.
And they could either be, I mean, they don't really work together because I can't trust the other guy, but it'd be.
And then you could bring Emilia Clarke back in. You could do like the whole thing with the Crimson, Crimson Dawn. You can do all that stuff.
Why not? I don't see why not. Also on the Disney Plus, coming out later this year is going to be Moon Knight. And in fact, tonight, Ryan, not the timestamp, but we record these on Monday nights. People know that.
Sure do.
During this Monday Night Football match, they are going to put a Moon Knight trailer on there, the first full trailer. So that might come out while we're doing the episode, or it might come out right afterwards, but we'll certainly tweet it out at Dork Podcast.
I got it on monitor 2 right here.
Good. Yep, I got it on the old big screen in front of me here.
Nice.
So looking forward to that. Should be good. Right. The Batman. We got news since our last episode that it will be rated PG-13. And you know what it sounds like to me?
What does it sound like?
It's a cash grab.
It's a fucking cash grab. You know what it is? This Batman stuff, like, do the old stuff.
Cash
like
grab.
this PG-13, that's for jocks.
Do the old stuff. Do the old stuff. I'm honestly not surprised, because I think this is you can do. People don't want to hear it, but you can still do really good PG-13 comic book movies. All of Marvel is PG-13. I know there's been some great things like Deadpool and Logan that were rated R, but the Batman shouldn't and doesn't really kill people, for one.
Right.
Just don't say fuck. Don't pull your cock out of your pants. Don't show a bunch of nipples. Don't show penetration.
Don't blast nips.
Don't blast nips, and take it a little easy on the blood, and you got yourself a PG-13 movie, right?
You could still tell mature storyline. Get good storylines in PG-13. Again, so quick plug. I did a news dump with Goo recently. So we talked about this, and one of the things I brought up is like there's been several delays with this movie due to COVID and due to illness and due to production stoppages. So that costs money. They need to make their money back.
Yeah.
And this is definitely going to be in the theater. They want people to go see it. If Spider-Man has shown us anything, it's that we can still make money in theaters. So we need to make that money back.
Even the Topic du Jour made a lot of money, and that was a January movie, and it's made a lot of money.
So, a long weekend.
The other thing with Batman is, what was the movie? Every year we, like during Halloween or Dorktober, we talk about, I think Sinister was a PG-13 movie. Like there's some crazy ones that you're like, how the fuck was that? It's because they didn't swear. There was no like overt sex stuff and whatever. So they can still make it pretty damn creepy. Yeah, as people in the chat are saying, the whole Nolan Nolan trilogy was PG-13.
Right.
So I'm not freaking out about it. I think it'll still be fine. Or no, more than fine. My expectation is higher than fine. But I'm saying this to me won't ruin it.
No. Definitely not.
Ryan, have you begun Afterlife season 3, which is out on Netflix right now?
I did, and tip my hand. I was going to mention it later in the podcast, but you put it in the thing. One of the best. A new character shows up who's been mentioned before, and he was everything I wanted him to be.
How many episodes have you seen? Have you watched the whole thing?
Just one so far. And I loved seeing Mickey the Gypsy. Finally seeing Mickey the Gypsy and what's his name's wife.
Brian Gittins.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I thought I've seen 3 episodes.
Yeah.
And there's only 6, so I'll finish it like this week. The first 2 episodes, I was like, all right, like the show's not as funny or as sad because it's both. Like it's both ends of the spectrum. I'm like, all right, it's neither so far to me. There is a conversation in the 3rd episode that I guarantee you will shit your pants laughing.
Okay,
it is obviously Brian Gittins.
Yes.
Obviously him. And he's having a conversation. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's having a conversation with the kid, telling him a story. And it is amazing.
Is it soundboard worthy?
Yes.
Okay, good. I can't wait.
Yeah, it is. I like butchered it trying to tell it to my wife who hasn't seen the show. And the other thing with Brian Gittins is like the actor, like his cadence is so hysterical.
So good.
So I butchered that and barely got
Derek?
Yeah, I watched Derek.
Yeah, he as Kev, he had the best lines in the whole show. Yeah.
No, but I did such a disservice and I tried to spit out the punchline and she still like laughed out loud. And I did a horrible job mimicking it. So wait till you see it. You'll know exactly what I'm talking about. It's outrageous.
Billy the Cunt AIDS.
Oh, that guy's in it.
I know. I can't wait.
The Nonce and Ratty and the Nonce, they show up.
Yeah.
Good news, Ryan. Will Forte, aka MacGruber, is going to be hosting SNL this week.
I like to take old biddies and bunch in mocks.
They have to do a MacGruber thing, right?
MacGruber! He has a drink or 2 each night, but it doesn't affect his job. MacGruber! The guy's a social drinker. MacGruber!
So actually, funny story about that. So last week we did MacGruber, so you can check out the TV show recap on in #DORK. And so on YouTube, it's like random how YouTube works, and like you'll get copyright strikes every once in a while for stuff. And like when Davey streamed video games, they're very anal about like music that you play and whatever. And usually it doesn't mean you have to take this thing down. It just means you can't monetize it. And we don't really make money off of this thing anyway, but whatever. I got an email that said last week's episode there was a copyright strike. So I'm like, had to be the fucking 5-minute Kristen Wiig song that I played, right? I'm like, I get it. Fine, whatever. We won't make $2 off this episode.
Right.
But I clicked on the email and then it had the timestamp of when it was. And it was like super early in the show. And I'm like, what? So I clicked on it and it was the fucking apology song from the guy in court got flagged. So somebody's monetized. Somebody owns the rights to that guy's song.
That has to be some sort of like genius thing that people do. Like if something's going to go viral,
yeah, somebody owns
copyrighted or someone owns the rights to it. Like that's genius. Did you know? Like I first started hearing about that. You know, Gene Simmons owns the trademark for the term OJ. So when you're referring to orange juice as OJ, you pay Gene Simmons.
Well, stop saying it then.
I just said it a couple times.
Yeah. Well, now you owe him at least 10 cents. Cut the shit there. Yeah, it's weird. Yeah, there's certain stuff. We get emails like for radio. Like there's certain people who are super anal about their things, and you got to be real careful.
Disney is notorious for that.
There's Disney's one crazy. That I don't even want to say. I'm not even gonna go there. I don't even want to bring it up. But yes, apparently that apology guy, which we play on Gresh and Keefe all the time. So
yeah, I was thinking too. Have you heard like there's if you get a Disney tattoo and like take a picture of it, like they ding you for that too? Like they'll come after you for that?
Like a Disney character or like the logo?
Both.
Who's getting a logo? If you could get any fictional character, not if you could, if you did get any fictional character tattooed on your body, who would it be and why?
And where?
Who would it be and where? And how big?
I don't know. I'm trying to get rid of tattoos at this point. I'm not trying to, trying to get any more.
All right, how about this? You get to cover up one of your tattoos with a giant face of somebody.
I'll get to Steve.
I think I'm
Roger Rabbit.
I like Roger Rabbit. You get a tattoo of Roger Rabbit. I would.
Someone said in the monkey statue. CT Rebel coming with the monkey statue. Yeah, I would do that. Big monkey right on my chest. Right on my chest. Yep.
Ryan, our first episode of the Puppet Show is probably already planned out, as coming out this Friday on Apple TV is Fraggle Rock Back to the Rock. And we tweeted out a trailer for this on @DORK Podcast on Twitter. Looks awesome. Looks fucking awesome. Fraggles are great.
The Fraggles are great because you know what, they get in the outside. Was it Traveling Matt? Uncle Traveling Matt goes out in the world. He teaches you about stuff very poorly.
Uncle Matt or whatever it is.
Traveling Matt. Yeah.
Yeah. He's out there getting it done. He's got his little, he looks like a little like Lewis and Clark out there.
He's out there in the world. Is the trash heap back? I didn't see the trailer yet.
Trash heap's got to be back. And all Fraggles eat are radishes. So it's not like they're even cutting into your diet.
And what are the big things called that they go in their garden?
Oh, those fucking guys. What is it? I forget their names. See, this is the stuff we need on Puppet Show.
They wind up throwing them down the well and they land in the water. Yeah.
Whole thing. Then you got the Dozers. They're doing all the work. And they're in and out.
Yeah.
They're doing their whole thing. So, all right. Anyway.
It's time for Davey's video game minute. Even if it takes more than a minute.
All right, Ryan, what do you have?
Well, I got, first things first. We like to talk about our friends at Wild Bill Soda. Go to drinkwildbills.com. Use the promo code Ron Von D. They're very, very good about sponsoring this, and we're making them money. They're making us money. It's whatever. Use the promo code. No. Use the promo code Ron Von D. Get yourself 20% off some soda. They're very good to us anyway. But anyway, did you know? So Wordle is we talked about Wordle last. You in on this?
Yeah, I'm crushing Wordle. I don't tweet out my scores, but I've never gotten one wrong, and I've only gotten to the last one maybe once. So I'm killing it.
It's not that hard.
No,
it's not that hard. Anyway,
but you're not playing, so something.
I'm not playing. So something happened. So the guys, there were apparently years ago, there was a kid who was just practicing coding, created a game called Wordle, and people are starting to download his game instead. So he's had like this huge cash windfall now that he's just getting all these like ad revenue. So guess what the kid did? Like he in a week, he made like $3,000 in ad revenue. Donated it to charity.
Awesome.
How about that?
What a guy.
He's like, I got this by accident. You weren't trying to get my game, but I'm getting all this ad revenue. So
not bad.
Give it back. So we're going to start with something nice, and we're going to end with something shitty.
I like that.
Yeah, good for that kid.
You're going to have problems, just like everything else. But stay positive and stay strong.
Yeah. How about that?
Yeah.
So, in other games, a guy beat Sekiro, Shadows Die Twice, which was the From Software game, which is a difficult game. Not as difficult as their Souls games or Bloodborne, but he beat it in 2 hours.
Jesus.
Blindfolded.
All right.
How do you beat a video game blindfolded? I don't understand.
I don't. Now, it couldn't have been the first time he played, right?
No. I think he's speed run this game several times before.
So yeah, so I guess I get it. I mean, obviously I couldn't come anywhere close to it, but I guess I get it. Like once you've played it so many times and sort of you can just do the timing in your head, but still 2 hours is fucking insane.
So an open world game, it's not like
yeah. Oh, it's insane. It's insane.
Had to have cheated somehow.
I don't like it.
The Xbox One and the Halo 3 servers are officially dead. So the Xbox One, which was a piece of garbage, and the Xbox One, they've stopped production on them entirely. And the Halo 3, you can't play Halo 3 online anymore. They all went down last week.
Well,
it's a bummer.
Pouring out for Adam Cole.
He can't play Halo 3 anymore.
No.
Speaking of pouring one out, Logan Paul. Did you hear the news about this dipshit?
No, what's he up to?
He blew $3.5 million on first generation sealed packs of Pokemon cards, only to receive them in the mail and find G.I. Joe cards. Now, apparently the person he bought them from was a seller on eBay who only had one review or one previous sell. So you got to believe that he made all this money back and then some just on ad revenue and like just
talking
views.
About it.
Yeah, just talking about it. People talk, he made money back on this, which you're like, this kid's just pissing money away.
He's just pissing money.
He's just throwing it in our faces. So I can't believe that this was a work.
Oh, you think it was a work?
This is a work. Absolutely.
Could be.
Like
Possible.
he's not
possible. Yeah.
But speaking, so if he probably made 5 million just on viewership and people talking about it for like a week, because this happened like at the end of last week or the middle of last week after we had recorded, which leads me to my last question. How are we doing on our 1 million subscribers on YouTube? You said we're monetizing this now.
We're not there yet.
We're not there yet.
I'll let you know because remember I told you, or you came up with the idea. Our 1,000,000th subscriber, Davey and I will show up to your place of residence at a time of our choosing and do the show live
with you as the co-host, and you get to pick the topic.
You pick the topic du jour. Davey and I, of course, will pick the time, and hopefully you're there. So we're not there yet. We are just shy of 1 million, but each and every one of you are very valuable. And if you want to tell another friend, that friend tells a friend. Ryan, guess what happens next? That friend then tells a friend.
Exponential growth.
Tells another friend.
Yep.
What I need is each of my best sellers to sell to 5 people. And then I need those 5 people to sell to 10 people. Are you following this, folks?
I'm following this.
Then they need to recruit another 20 people, and then we will get to 1 million subscribers.
So here's that, and it's not a pyramid scheme. What that is it's a reverse funnel system.
Correct. Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, so no, we wouldn't get anybody caught up in a pyramid scheme.
We would never do that. I would never send you an Instagram instant message or direct message that said, "Hey, girl," and then try to sell you some makeup or some fucking Tupperware. No. Get out of my face.
But if each one of you guys, if we could get back to the original point, if each person out there can recruit 2 people,
and then they recruit 2 people. Yeah.
Think smarter, not harder. We can get this done. By the end of 2022, we will have 1 million YouTube subscribers. You need to put this stuff out into the universe, Ryan.
You do. And it's on my vision right now. My vision board is over here. I'm not sharing it with anybody, but that's on there. Not only that, if you've seen the movie Pay It Forward with Haley Joel Osment.
Who hasn't?
That was the kid's whole idea. You're going to tell me that was a bad idea? Doing nice things for people? You tell me that's bad?
Let's keep pushing this forward. And if that doesn't work, create a bunch of fake emails and get on YouTube and subscribe to the
Dork Podcast 1, Dork Podcast 2, Dork Podcast 3. We're just going to keep creating them.
Just scrolling through the subscribers. It's all eggs. It's like, wow, way to go, guys. It's like, how do you have 1 million subscribers and 300 views? They must not all be tuning in at the same time. I don't know what to tell you.
What do they call them? There's like user farms in like India. Like you buy fake users and they'll like comment on stuff. And it's just guys and people in India, just like in a huge room, just like commenting on shit. Yeah.
I get the DM like once a month on Instagram being like, here's how much it costs to get more followers. I'm like, why would you want to pay for fucking people that don't actually listen or care about I don't get it. And
it's amazing because you see these people with like 100,000 followers, and then one post of theirs will get like 50 likes.
It's insane. You're like,
they have 100,000 followers and 50 likes. Like, you can't, idiot.
Yeah, it's kind of a tell. Yeah.
So that's Davey's Video Game Minute, brought to you by our friends at Wild Bill Soda. Okay, we're done.
Y'all ready for bisque?
Ryan, you ready for bisque?
Am I? I don't know.
It's the topic du jour. I'm glad you asked. It's the topic of the day. And today, it is the film Scream.
Last week, I saw a film. As I recall, it was a horror film.
That's right. Scream is the title of the film. I know it sounds familiar because that was also the title of a 1996 classic. It is a 1 hour and 54-minute romp rated R. Last Rotten Tomatoes check, 75% by the critics, 85% by the audience. It is the 5th in the Scream franchise. We'll get into what it actually is. Is it a reboot? Is it a sequel? Is it a requel? All that. We'll get into all that as we go through. Let's begin, as I'm very excited to talk about this. You know how I feel about Scream, but let's begin spoiler free. I will ask you, Ryan, did you like it?
Not really.
You are a fucking open asshole. You didn't like this movie?
It was fine.
It was great. It was excellent. Oh, this is so fucked. Go ahead.
All right.
Go ahead.
You don't watch Parks and Recreation, right?
I did.
You did. Okay. The Scream franchise. So this is a Parks and Rec reference that I'm going to make right now. This is my Lil Sebastian. I'm Ben White, and this is my Lil Sebastian. You know, like running joke where they had the like everyone loves Lil Sebastian, he's the greatest thing in the world, and like Ben just never got it. I just don't get. I'm not against fun. I understand why people like it. I'm not. I got in a huge fight. Not in a fight. We got in almost a little like marital tiff about this. I was like, I get why you like it.
I bet Rye liked it.
She loved it.
Great taste.
It's just not for me.
Why.
It's just not
awesome.
for me.
I love this whole universe. To me, it is the best horror franchise. Now, some of the other franchises have been so bastardized because they have way more than 5 movies, but this one only has 5 movies. The first one to me is my favorite of all time. It is my absolute favorite horror movie.
And that was great. That movie was great. I will give you that.
This movie, I think, is the second best one. Now, there might be some recency bias. I think this is 2. I would then go Scream 2 third, Scream 4 third, and then a distant 5th is Scream 3. But I would say this, Ryan. I love the universe and the characters so much that I even view Scream 3 almost like the Star Wars prequels, where I know they're horrible. But there's a little something to the old rewatch because you're like, all right, this is still canon. These are still the characters that are involved here. So I'll watch it. It's the world. So I at least like it at that level. But I think they have 4 movies out of 5 that are B plus or better. Yes.
I don't agree. I disagree.
Now you don't
respectfully disagree.
You don't like any of them, or
no? I like the first. I like this first Scream. I thought the first Scream when I first saw it, it was great. It's still great.
Okay. It was.
Yeah.
Did you think this movie was scary at all?
No.
It's not really, but I don't know if that's their strength anyway. Like, I think the Scream movies are more of they're on that line of like, they're not a parody, but they're so self-aware. They're so meta that I don't think it's that scary. Now, again, if you are a middle school kid or like a high school kid or something, maybe it's a little scarier, but yeah, I don't think they really go for scares. Now, it is very violent. Like, if you're going to ask somebody, it is over the top violent.
It is over the top violent. It is probably the most violent of the Scream movies, which I appreciated.
Yeah, they went
up the violence a little bit.
Well, that's what we're talking about with Batman. Like, this movie is rated R. So if you're going to make it rated R, go for it.
And you know what? Yeah, there's a lot of like, sorry to cut you off. No. There's a lot of like slow kills, which are like, those are money.
There's also a lot of kills where the person's probably dead after the 3rd stab, but they continue to stab for like 10
They
more.
just keep going.
There's a lot more stabs. Did you at least find it to be a good whodunit?
No.
You idiot.
I'm not. You stupid bitch.
No, I'm not stupid. My eyes are wide open on this. This was
we can't talk about this right now. We need to wait until spoilers to get into this. But
okay.
There's a reason. There's a reason I didn't think it was a good whodunit.
All right. Obviously, we haven't talked about this at all until
we have not talked about it until
I haven't talked to anybody about it. I haven't tweeted this. I think I am going to tweet this though before we put this episode out for the people that aren't watching it live. I loved it, but I have one major problem with it. And that'll be the first thing I mention in spoilers.
And I hope it's the same thing where like why I don't think it's a good whodunit.
Maybe.
Yeah.
It might be, but I have one major problem, but it doesn't knock it down. Like, I still really, really enjoyed it. And I'm just so mad that this one thing happened and we can clear that up. I thought it was a good whodunit. And I think that's one of the other reasons why I like Scream is because as cool as Halloween, Nightmare on Elm Street, and Friday the 13th, those movies are, or enjoyable as some of them are.
You know who did it.
You know who done it. Ryan, you know who done it. They're goddamn on the cover. Like, you know exactly who done it. And they can't die. These are real people. And so I like it because it's like, all right, it's a slasher movie, but it's also, you're trying to figure out the whole time you're watching it who done it. So I like that. Did you care for any of the new characters?
Yes.
I thought some of them were pretty good.
Yes. I thought some of them were pretty good. Some of them were just useless. But there was one character in particular who I very much liked.
Yeah, and if you saw the poster, like in all the previews for it, God, there must have been 10 new characters. Then obviously the like the main trio coming back, the big 3 coming back, and then there's a ton of other kids that were there. So you knew there was the opportunity for a lot of deaths too because of how many characters they had. So I already ranked them. I have, and maybe it's recency bias, but I have this as the second best Scream movie. Where would you, I know you don't like them all, but where would you put this one?
I would put it, it's like 3 is obviously the worst, right?
Yeah.
And then I like the first one's the best one.
Yep,
Clearly.
for sure.
This one I would say it's like 3 for me.
Do you like
I go like Scream
second
1,
one?
2,
Okay.
this,
And then 4?
4, 3. Yeah.
Cause I enjoyed 4. I thought it was a pretty good job for something that came out 10 years after the third one, or even 11 years, I guess, after.
It's better than 4. This is better than 4.
I think it's better than 4 as well. I already know the answer to this. I think it is a theater movie. I had people DM me because I wasn't saying anything on Twitter. They were like, should I go to the theater for this? I think it is. I think it's super enjoyable. This is one of the movies I was looking forward to for the year. It's already better in my mind than any of the horror movies that came out last year. So I would say yes to the theater.
Yeah.
You're probably a no, but for somebody who's a diehard horror fan, what would you say?
Yeah. So as someone who's a horror, I like seeing horror movies in the theater because I like watching hearing other people react. So that's part of the fun for me. And that's part of the buildup. So there's an environment there that I like. But so in that regard, if you're like that, I would definitely see it in the theater.
What is your hashtag dork score?
I've never done this before. I am going to give this a friendship 4. Because if I do it any lower, I'm afraid that I'll be permanently kicked off the podcast.
No, you won't be kicked off the podcast. A differing of opinion is okay. I'm all right with that. As long as you can defend it, that's fine.
Really, I would like to give it a 3.5, but I'll give it a 4.
You don't have to do that.
4. I want to do it. I want to do it.
I'm going to give it a 5. I thought it had an opportunity to be a 6, but there was one thing that just bugged me to the point that I had to remove a full stone. And this may not bother other people, but it bothered me so much that I was like, what are we doing? Still a 5. I got to watch it again. That could lower it. That could raise it, whatever, can confirm it. I've obviously only seen it the one time. So I'm going to go with a 5. Davey's going with a friendly 4. So that would be an aggregate of a 4.5. And there you go. We're off and running for our 2022.
We're off and running.
Scream. Anything else non-spoiler?
If this better not be the best horror movie of the year. It better not be.
Interesting.
They got to come with something.
We'll see. I'm trying to think off the top of our heads. We had, to me, it was better than Fear Street. And Fear Street, we had right up at the top. And we also had like Werewolves Within, I liked. Don't Breathe 2. But anyway. All right, that's how I felt about Scream. So now from here on out, it is all spoilers on Scream.
Spoilers! 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 Here come the spoilers!
All right, we'll go through all this stuff. We'll go through the characters, the best moments, the worst moments, the Easter eggs. We'll go through all of it. But just to jumpstart this, the thing that bothered me the absolute most was a continuity issue. This fucking floored me because, again, this is how we look at movies. We kind of analyze them, right? And there's certain things I can let go, certain things I can't. So they made it very clear, Ryan, that this is the 25th anniversary of the first Scream. They made that clear in the movie. Not only is it clear, 1996, it was December of 96, and this comes out, I guess, January of 2022, but still, let's just call it 25 years. Okay. And even there's a scene at the end that says, on the 25th anniversary of this, blah, 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 blah. So 25 years. They also, not the whodunit, but the big reveal prior to who the killers are, is that the character of Sam Carpenter is actually the daughter of Billy Loomis. Okay, fine. They also make it clear in the movie that she is 5 years older than her sister, Tara. Yes. They say that, 13 and 8. Her sister, Tara, is in high school. Yes. So it's the fall of her high school year. We don't even know what grade she's in, but let's just say she's 17.
Sure.
That means Sam would be 22. Her dad was killed 25 years ago.
Doesn't make any fucking sense.
Can't happen. It can't happen.
This is a huge continuity issue. Huge. And something that is one of myriad issues that I had with the writing of this movie.
This to me insulted our intelligence because you do such a great job, in my humble opinion, of tying all these characters into legacy characters. They all are. We'll go over it. But this one, and I thought it was a cool little twist because Billy Loomis is a great character, and I'm glad that they're sort of like giving life, and for lack of a better word, into that character. So if you want to have her come back, great. She has to be 25, or I guess 24, depending on like.
Right.
Let's say her mom got pregnant the day Billy died, then she would still be 24. Right. And there's no way that girl's 19. No. Or at least she's not supposed to be a 19-year-old in high school. No.
And again, like you said, they make a huge deal out of the fact that the age difference between the two of them, and they mention it several times.
Like 13 and 8. Like that's what happened. Like when this all happened, and then they say 25-year anniversary. So that they fucking box themselves in. They should have said she was 7 years older or whatever. If they just said that 7 years older, and it was 15 and 8. And now, okay, this girl has to be 25 instead of 22 or whatever. It just, oh my God, that bugged me so much. So I'm watching it, I'm like, oh, that's a cool twist. Like, so she's Billy Loomis's daughter. And then I'm like, oh, so that her mom must have gone to school with Sydney and with Tatum.
They never mention who the mom is.
No, you never see her.
I guess it doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't matter who the mom is, right?
No, apparently she's a bit of a drunk because words got out.
The whole thing with like Billy Loomis like appearing, she never knew him, so she wouldn't know. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, but she would have seen pictures of him, like, because like the Stab movie, like, he's famous. Well, I mean, you wouldn't have seen him just like that, but they made movies of him. There's pictures of him. Like, I've never met Ted Bundy. I know what Ted Bundy looks like.
Right, but you wouldn't see him dead. You know what I mean? Like, you wouldn't see him like stabbed. Like, do they really need to like?
If he was my dad, I might.
I don't know.
If he was my dad, man, because she was taking like antipsychotic medicine or whatever.
Which there was a whole storyline with that, which was just useless. Like, you didn't need that.
I just that part just fucking bugged me. But I like that character though. I thought she was good, and so it's a little different because it's like a character outside of high school, and then she comes back because her sister gets attacked, and like the whole setup there. All right. Now, as far as the whodunit was concerned, did you know who done it at any point? Did you think those two at all?
Not only that, Rich, they fucking told you who it was.
Oh, when
they
Dewey
told you. Yeah. Like the whole thing of like this whole twist ending, like they put themselves in such a pretzel of like being meta that like the only thing they can do now is tell you who it is to try to okey-doke you and then show you who it is. It's like, oh, you told me that an hour and a half ago.
Twist.
Like,
it's
not a twist. They told you.
A Richie character did a decent job of trying to like be oblivious, be like the supportive boyfriend. I thought he did a decent job of that. But there was also a few times where he kind of outed himself because he said he wasn't a movie fan. And then he referenced Halloween and he referenced something else.
That's what I mean. Like, the writing of this was so shitty.
Like, I think it was sort of an homage to the first Scream.
But again, like this is the thing. Like, this is the thing that bugs me. It's been the same fucking thing every single time. It's been like, and again, this is where we got into the marital here. She's like, hey, it's different. I'm like, but it's not. Like, it's not that different.
Well, and that's why they explained in the movie it's a requel.
And this was the thing I appreciated.
Well, because if we were younger, Ryan, this would sort of be our introduction into the Scream world, and then we would go back and watch these. But for us, we're of a certain age where we already watched all those other ones, and so we see this one. And yeah, they do kind of parallel that first one a lot, but I think they do it with like a wink and a nod. Like, that's one of the great things about the Scream franchise is they're like, we're very well aware of horror movies. I love the movie within the movie and all the references to Stab. I like all that. It's like the inception of fucking horror movies. I love it.
See, and for me, I think my issue with that is like, I don't think it's as clever as people make it out to be.
Okay.
You know, I think, again, if you're a Scream fan like Richie,
yes,
you know, his whole thing is like, you can't have toxic fandom because it's all about love. It's like, we love this and this is our thing and you can't take it away from us. And basically he's pissed. And the other thing too, real fucking creepy, the fact that him and what's her name?
Amber.
Like, they keep calling each other like babe. Like, he's 29 years old and she's like 16, 17. Like, that's fucking gross.
Well, they're also
like,
both murderers, Ryan. So I think that's sort of par for the course when it comes
to but the fact that he's like an internet predator too, like you add that layer to it, like
I think I also know why you don't like it is because they make a point to take a shot at Rian Johnson in The Last Jedi because they talk about all reboots and requels and all sequels.
Yes.
And they were like, oh yeah, Stab 8 was terrible. It was directed by the guy who did Knives Out. And it was like he changed all the characters,
But
which
he
is sort
didn't.
of like a little joke at Last Jedi.
Did you see the tweet that Rian Johnson put out? Like the whole thing where people were pissed that like fake Luke Skywalker shows up and he shows them in like the Jedi manual, like which he has on his shelf. Like they can do that.
Well, we just hadn't seen it.
Right.
We had
but like all these people who are like this toxic fandoms and stuff. I liked that aspect of it. And I really liked the conversation. And again, we'll get into characters more, but my favorite character was Mindy Meeks Martin, one of the twins. Who
yes.
She was like the new Randy Meeks, and she was kind of I loved when she was like basically like explaining the rules to people by showing them how they like fucked up.
Yep.
You know, she's like
she was a good character. She was a good character. Yeah, so I did like the fact, and you could say it's a little convenient, but whatever. It's a small town, I'll say, that they're all related to legacy characters. So Sam, and this is also a bit on the nose. So Sam Carpenter, and obviously Carpenter because of John Carpenter and Halloween.
And they had a character named Wes too.
Right. Yeah. But if Sam is actually Billy Loomis's daughter, then she would be Sam Loomis, which is the name of Donald Pleasance in Halloween.
Yes.
So Sam's related to Billy. Tara obviously isn't related to Billy, but sort of vis-a-vis. Then you have Wes Hicks, played by Dylan Minnette. He is the son of Sheriff Judy Hicks, who only appeared in Scream 4. And I guess in the original version, she was supposed to die, but then she didn't. So they brought her back. Dies in this one. Yeah.
Can I just say that this town has the worst police force I think I've ever fucking seen? She calls for backup on the way to the house, and they never show up.
No, they weren't there. They weren't there. They eventually cleaned it up. They were there to clean it up.
Like much after the fact. And by the way, the guy who plays the other cop, the Asian guy, I was like, I've seen him before.
Oh, Deputy Vincent.
Yes. He is, if you've seen the movie Hot Rod, which I love, if you've ever seen the movie Hot Rod.
Yeah, Danny McBride, Bill Hader, Sandberg, obviously.
He plays Richardson, the guy who just dances and like throws flyers at people. Like that's him.
Oh yeah, right.
Yeah. The guy just goes like,
it just
does that dance.
You need that guy.
Yeah,
it's good for morale.
Mm-hmm.
So you had Mindy and Chad, who are the niece and nephew of Randy Meeks,
and you brought back the sister Heather Matarazzo, who played Randy Meeks' sister, and
Martha Meeks, who popped in Scream 3.
Yes,
yeah. So you see her; she's back there. Liv McKenzie. They don't make a point of this, but I'm going to assume that the McKenzies were the next door neighbors of Drew Barrymore in the first one, because there's a scene that says "Drive up to the McKenzies" or "Call the McKenzies" or whatever.
Oh,
so I'm going to assume that they're related there. There's a character Vince who gets murdered, and you find out that he's Stu Macher's nephew. So you have all these connections that were.
When do you find that? Did I miss that? When do you find that out?
Yeah, they said it in the movie because he died. He was like the first confirmed death. Remember, he was like the weirdo creep, kind of like following
the
around.
Tough guy.
And then like over the phone, they say like that's Stu Macher's.
I love like a by the way. Like that's so fucking dumb. That's lazy.
They tossed that one in there. They tossed it in there. Did you not enjoy the talk of the elevated horror describing what horror movies are now?
I did, and I'm in the camp. I liked elevated horror. I like it,
and I know that
more than this.
You had to enjoy that Tara's favorite movie is The Babadook.
I love that movie.
Yeah, I know you did.
You know, it's not just a scary movie. It's about a mother's, with grief. And she's like, and Jordan Peele. Jordan Peele's the shit. And she's like, I know Jordan Peele's the shit, but that's not what we do,
What did you think? Well, it sounds like you kind of didn't mind the motives. I was kind of back and forth on the motives. So basically, you end up with Richie and Amber are the co-killers. First of all, I love two killers. The only movie that didn't have two killers in the Scream franchise was Scream 3, and that was clearly the worst one. I think you have to have two because it allows that.
These like this illegitimate child, half cousin bullshit is just so dumb.
Yeah, you mean like so Scream 3, like that was kind of.
But you had a little bit of that in here too, like the illegitimate kid who's like neglected by the father, like the father wasn't around, so you know what I mean? Like that to me.
But for the killers in this one, you had Richie, who just loves the stab movies, hated where they were going, and is like, they need to be re-inspired, basically. Like they need to continue like real stories. So that's like I'm like, and then with Amber, her family moved into the Stu Macher house, which is the setting of the first real Scream massacre.
And don't you think like people would have known that?
Well, they knew that she lived there, and that's why I think they were having the party there. Like they were aware of that, but then she apparently got jumped on Reddit, and then like so that's kind of a loose thing that they got together a little bit. But by the way, she's a great actress, and she was really good in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I know, another one of your favorite movies. She played Sexy Sadie.
Yes.
She was, I don't know, I thought pretty excellent in that. I thought she was pretty important there. So that part I'm like, you know what? I don't know if I love, but you had in Scream 4, you had Emma Roberts' character who was like, Sydney's like my cousin and she gets so much attention, and you're like, okay. And then the Scream 3 guy, they just like make up a thing, and then they try to ruin the first one because they're like, oh yeah, he's the one who actually motivated Billy and Stu, and you're like, don't do that. So Scream 3 screwed that up. So if anything, this is at least a fresher take on why these people would want to commit all these murders. So I'll take it.
I know, and I feel, and again, if I were Sidney Prescott and I'm pushing a baby carriage and I get a call from Dewey saying it's happening again, and I'm like, oh, I just mentioned to him that I just dropped my kids off at school.
Right.
And he's like, it's happening again. You know what I would have said? Good luck. Have fun.
So not the best approach though, because
they're going to come find her anyway.
Well,
like, hey,
Scream 2 didn't take place in Woodsboro, but they went after her. Scream 3 didn't take place in Woodsboro, and they went after her. Scream 4 she was doing a book tour. She went back, and then all hell broke loose.
I remember. But like,
just telling the listener that
I just got a fucking shotgun ready for you if you come to my house. Anyone who I don't know shows up at my door is getting shot.
And that was a good line too. Apparently, that Nev Campbell put in there. It was a Nev Campbell line. Yes. She was like, "I'm Sidney Prescott. Of course, I have a fucking gun."
Yeah.
Like, all right.
Get a shotgun.
Probably need a shotgun. Yeah. Probably
need to stop with the pistols.
And
have you ever shot a pistol? Very hard to shoot.
Nope. Just shotguns.
Yeah. Do you have to aim it?
No, just let it rip.
Really.
Just let
from the hips. Like you shoot it near someone's face. You're gonna hit him in the head.
Yeah. That's all. What the fuck was I gonna say?
Did you notice too that like so Sydney, Gail, and Sam, they were standing next to each other at one point in the movie. All of them had a wound in the same spot.
Interesting. That's where the
killer the lower left abdomen. They were just like holding the same spot.
Killer goes for it. That's like a soft spot, maybe, for him.
It's a soft spot, but like
or her.
You got to learn that, like, you know, if you keep hitting people there. I think Gail was shot there.
Yes.
The other two were stabbed there.
Yeah.
But like, by the way, I've never been shot. It's not true. I've been shot with an arrow, but I've never been shot with a gun.
No, same.
I've seen footage of people being shot with a gun.
Yeah.
You don't get up.
No, I wouldn't want that to happen to me.
You don't get up and walk. Like if that hit her where it hit, it probably would have like shattered her hip. I don't want to get into like the whole thing, but
she's used to it though.
Yeah.
What the fuck was I gonna say? Oh, so apparently Scream 3 very much does matter. Because remember, we were saying after we did an episode on all the Screams, right? It wasn't just Scream 4 a couple of Octobers ago. And we were saying, you made the point, you're like, you can kind of just skip 3. And 1 and 2 obviously lead very much into each other. And then 4 only really references 1 and 2. And so you're like, did the events of 3 even happen? Well, they did. And I think they kind of confirm a couple things. One, you get the same Rainey Meek's sister from the third one is the same actress, same person. So that kind of confirms it. But also, they don't show him, but they mention Sydney's husband is Mark. That's fucking Detective Mark Kincaid, Patrick Dempsey from Scream 3, who's not referenced in Scream 4. But I wonder, this is how I played out in my head. Maybe after the events of Scream 4, she ended up going back with him. It's been 10 years since then, and her kids are really, really small. So maybe she reunited with Mark because they end Scream 3 together. Like they're
like, there's this whole scene where they're like going to watch a movie.
Yeah, and they have a dog, and they're hanging out with Gail and Dewey, and they're getting engaged and the whole thing. I did like the twist of Dewey is completely down and out, and Gail is like on TV again, and she's like a star.
Yeah, I mean, it's back to where it was. I mean, the whole idea is that it's back to where it's what they call it, a requel. So it's back to kind of where the start. So in the beginning, like Dewey's kind of a dipshit, and Gale is like this big star. So now we're back to that. Right?
But where Scream 4 was kind of caught in between, like they had a lot of new references. They were talking about they talked a lot about reboots then.
Yes.
Right, which 1, 2, and 3 did, and 1, 2, and 3 sort of inspired all these different movies and sequels and everything else. 4 talked about it, but then 5, they made a point to say that this movie had to have stakes, and they killed Dewey. So I do give them credit for that too. Like I think they had to remove one of those 3 characters, at least one of those 3, and they killed Dewey. Part of me though thought, Davey, that they weren't going to do it because of the great documentary "You Can't Kill David Arquette."
Well, apparently you can. Yeah, you can kill Dewey, but you can't kill David Arquette.
Good point. Yep, Dewey was stabbed many times.
Many times.
But he died a hero. He died a hero.
He died a hero.
He saved a whole bunch of kids.
A person. Because the whole thing was like he was going back for one person. So he saved a person.
She's a pretty important person.
Not really.
I would imagine.
Nope.
We also got justice for Tatum, which I thought was significant because Tatum, played by Rose McGowan in the first one, is one of my favorite characters in the series. They really don't talk about her at all. I think they reference her maybe once in the 3 movies after that. And I don't think Dewey makes a reference to her. So you're like, did he fucking forget? Nope. He has her ashes. He has her name. There's a whole little scene that says Tatum. So it's like, all right, good to see that. You saw the Randy Meeks homages in Martha's house. There's like a big fucking
the Randy Meeks Theater, which I thought was pretty cool.
I like that one a lot. Also, when Richie's watching the YouTube videos about Stab, there's a little thumbnail thing that has the Hayden Panettiere's character, Kirby Reed from Scream 4, and it refers to her as the Woodsboro survivor, which is good because I thought she lived too, but she got like stabbed or shot or whatever the fuck.
She got stabbed by the Culkin kid.
Right.
In the guts.
But lived.
Kind of wanted her in this one. I'm kind of bummed out they didn't bring her into this one.
She is not doing well in the news.
Oh, really?
Yeah, not great. Not great, right. Bob.
I did not know that. So we wish her the best because she was awesome in that movie.
Yeah, she's having a rough go right now.
I'm still pissed they killed Randy Meeks from the first one. I thought he was the best character. He was really good in 2, died way too soon in 2. They did the corny little thing to try to bring him back in 3. And then he's obviously not in 4. But then the Kirby character was really good.
They kill him, and there was like that video that he made prior to his death, warning them about reboots or some shit.
Oh, trilogies.
Yeah,
talking about trilogies, and he had a good line in there though about it goes back to the original and it changes something about the original, which is then what happened. But
right,
I love like obviously all the fucking movie dork characters I love, and they all. There's usually one who's like the super nerd about it. And then but like all of them are aware of everything, but the killers are always aware of it. And that's why, like in the first one, Randy's the one who's like over the top with references and the rules and all that shit. Yeah. But if you notice, even Billy references them. And like he's the too cool for school guy. He has that conversation with Sydney. He's like, oh, I was watching The Exorcist earlier and like all the good stuff was edited out, blah, blah, blah. He mentions like Anthony Perkins' Psycho when he gets caught at the end. And the same thing's in this one with Richie, when Richie's like, yeah, I'm not a movie guy. And then he starts like quoting the movies and you're like, oh, you are a fucking movie guy. In fact, you're the biggest fucking movie guy out of
the biggest fucking movie out of all of us. And Dewey told us it was you in the first half hour of the movie.
Yeah, but so you believed him. Not everybody would believe him. Or not everybody would be like, he definitely did it.
Even if you didn't, aren't you like, well, that's dumb. They told us that.
Well, not necessarily. Randy tells you, like, that's the whole thing about these movies. They tell you a million rules all the time. Just like, when they were going down, like, I'll be right back. Like Richie said, I'll be right back this time. He's the killer. Didn't fucking bother him. Just like,
I'll be right back. Wasn't think they're like, and Dewey's like, watch out for the love interest. And he's like, who, me? And then no one watches out for the love interest.
Nope. Well, then when they're at the hospital, he and Amber were alone, and us, the viewer, are like, oh, they know each other. They don't know each other. But actually, it was perfect that they were alone because then they could attack Sam in the waiting room.
Sure.
So there was a little bit of that. The body count for this one was 8, which is the same as the original, the exact same as the original, less than 2, 3, and 4.
A lot of throat kills. MacGruber would be proud.
I love a throat kill.
You want
it?
a slow push with a knife into the throat. By the way,
that's all she
that's
throat.
tough. That's tough.
That's all she throat.
That's all she throat.
I thought going into it, I don't know if you made any predictions going into it. I thought an interesting idea could have been if Judy Hicks and her son Wes were the first ever mother-son murder duo.
That would be pretty good. I also early on had the Meeks twins because their uncle got a raw deal. So I had them pegged.
That's a good one. I think the one character they tried kind of pushing that it might be her was Liv, the character of Liv Mackenzie. And then that one obviously didn't happen. But yeah, they definitely kind of put it on everybody at one point. I don't think that they never, and I don't know if they wanted you to, but I never ever thought it was Sydney, Dewey, or Gail.
No.
And I know some people predicted that, oh, maybe one of them will snap or one of them will something, but no, like they never really
was like
went down that road.
They tried to push that at the end where they're like, oh, Sydney finally had enough. It's like, she's been doing this for 25 years. If she hasn't snapped by this point, she's probably not going to.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's weak.
Right. And so that I'm glad they didn't do that.
They did mention it though, that they were going to make her like,
they were going to do something,
frame her for it.
Yeah.
That's dumb. No one in that town would ever believe that Sidney Prescott came all the way back here to do that.
No, not going to happen.
Yeah.
I love how the stab movies are like a real thing that they can like talk about, and they have full cast lists. They have clips from so many of them, just going back in the whole series of it. And they even pull up the IMDb at one point, and they're like flipping through, and you see, Heather Graham's in it, Luke Wilson, but then it's also Jennifer Jolly, who was Parker Posey.
Parker Posey.
So remember, she was in Scream 3, but she referenced how she played Gail in the first two also. So she's like in there. So it's like a fake character with like real actors. Like I like all that shit. And I like how the beginning of Scream 4, by the way, is really good. It's super like meta, but it's like
that's the one with the two girls and one of them pranks the other one in the house, and it's
but it's like it's a series of it because you're actually watching Stab 6, and then and then it jumps to Stab 7, which is actually them watching Stab 6. And so it's like two girls killing each other, and then it cuts to like what's really going on, and it's when Ghostface shows up and kills those two girls.
Kills Julie Taylor.
Yes, who's actually real, who really is in Woodsboro.
Yes.
But the other ones aren't. And it's funny. So as an audience, we knew that they had 7 stabs. And then you find out in this movie, they had an 8th stab, but they didn't really call it Stab 8. They just called it Stab. And then
which they're doing currently. So that's what I mean. That's this whole thing that it's like,
I don't mind that.
So
very meta.
I know, but it's
very meta.
I know.
I enjoy it.
It insists upon itself.
Fine. I'm in. Now, what do you think is next for not what you want, because I don't really care at this point what you want, but what do you think you're going to do? Is this because you still have Sydney and Gail, you still have Sam, you could go down the road of Sam
like
is either going to
phasing them out, and
like you could do a whole movie just on Sam.
I'll tell you what not to do. If this is your requel, don't do what Halloween did.
Oh God. Yeah.
Everyone get in the same place. There's a killer on the loose. Like, let's all get in the same room.
It is funny, though, with the whole idea of the requels, and this was my idea a few years ago, too, is that every horror franchise should do this, and don't eliminate the first one, but eliminate all of the sequels and just start 20 years later and call it, like, Halloween 2 or whatever.
Yeah.
But see, that's the thing. The Scream franchise isn't bad enough where you have to eliminate movies, but you just need to kind of they're just trying to reestablish it a little bit.
I just had a thought.
Okay.
So they had this whole thing railing against elevated horror or whatever they called it.
Yeah, I think they called it elevated horror.
Does making this like meta and making you think about what's real and what's not, and like how these worlds are kind of like crisscrossing, like the real world and movie world and whatever, even with our own, because they mentioned Halloween, they mentioned
Candyman,
they mentioned Psycho. So these are movies that we've seen as well. So does that make it elevated horror, or try to? Because it's kind of shitting on that, but it's also like, but you are too.
Well, I think it's just, that's what's always been so good about Scream, is that it is a slasher. Like, it's a slasher movie, but it's also aware of itself. And it's just so, like, so many of the things that people used to get mad about with slasher movies, these characters might still do some of the same dumb stuff, but they at least claim to be self-aware of it. Yeah, I don't know
what
if
else?
it elevated though, but
You know what else had a problem with continuity wise? No one has fucking landline phones anymore. And if they have a landline phone, nobody answers it.
no, that part's true. The opening scene. Oh, I'm glad you brought the opening scene up. At least she's on her phone texting while the opening scene's going on.
They keep calling landline phones throughout the whole movie. And VTech must have paid a pretty penny to like get into this movie. No one has fucking landline phones anymore.
Yeah, no, that part's a little lame. I was wondering how they were going to do that because I'm like, the reason why it worked so well in '96 is like, and like Billy Loomis had a cell phone, but even that was like that made him more of a suspect because you're like, oh, dude, you're making calls. Like, yeah, not everybody has fucking cell phones.
By the way, you don't need a voice changer box anymore. If you're using a cell phone, you can download an app that has a fucking voice changer. You don't need the stupid thing.
Well, they had the thing anyway. How would you rank the opening scenes of all the movies?
This one was good because the girl survived and carried on throughout the movie. So I thought that was good. She didn't just die. It wasn't just a random person.
Good point. That was a good twist.
That was good.
She didn't kickstart the deaths at all.
Right.
And then at any point did you think she was in on it? Because there's that scene where like Richie tries to turn Sam on Tara, and you're like, was Tara in on it? Because part of me, I didn't think she did, but then because of this whole thing where, all right, she's the only opening act character to survive, then maybe she was, and it was an elaborate setup. So I thought there was a nice, quick little potential swerve at the end.
Here's something I'm not putting this evil on you. Here's another continuity issue that I had. So she was home alone because her mother was in England, right? Somewhere far away.
Mm-hmm.
This movie takes place over several days, right?
Does it?
Yes. There is a night.
Days,
it's a couple days because like it happens. And then, so it's probably 3 days.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
If you get a call, I don't care what the fuck you're doing. If I got a call that my child was stabbed and almost killed,
you probably come back.
You come home.
Well, didn't they say she couldn't? Wasn't there like a quick line in there?
She was stuck at a conference. Like,
well,
like you're stuck at a. If I told if I was even running the conference, I'd be like, look, my child was almost killed and stabbed. I'm going home. People would be like, okay.
One thing, and not to play your side of the street, but another thing, speaking of the mom, which was a little kind of is so Sam found out who her father really was in the attic, right? She read the diary, and then she went downstairs and said something to her mom, and then the dad heard it and then like immediately bailed. But then Richie found out, or Richie and Amber found out
how,
because the mom drinks and just like told somebody.
Right. What?
So I don't know. I mean, I guess maybe once her husband already left, maybe she'd be a little bit more like, fuck it, I'll tell people. But I don't know. If you didn't tell either of your daughters, I don't know if you would just start blabbing to people that Billy Loomis was.
No.
I would like this. I would like, because I like the world that they've created. I would like to know who that girl was in 1996, because there's two characters that are in the bathroom when Sydney is hiding from Ghostface.
Yes.
She's hiding. It's a cheerleader and another girl. Right. And the cheerleader's like refers to Billy Loomis as like her bubble butt boyfriend. I wonder if it was her.
Which doesn't make a ton of sense.
No, unless she was just selling a bill of goods to this girl. And then she's like, you know, in high school, like there's always like the couple, and then there's always like somebody who's sleeping with the one person the whole time that nobody really talks about.
Sure, but the issue I would have there is one of lineage, one of heritage, because that cheerleader is like blonde hair, blue eyes.
Oh yeah, good point. Yeah, sorry. So maybe it's not her. Fair enough.
But again, we Billy with scripts in these movies, and people fucking love it. So
somebody else
doesn't matter. Right?
God, the goddamn year thing fucking pissed me off. But anyway, next for the franchise, I think they could easily come up with another one. I don't know what you would call it necessarily, because again, you run into the same issue where you need to put like another word on it. You can't just call it Scream 2, or like the naming this even Scream's kind of annoying. But because couldn't you go with Sam now being like, so her father, her biological father, is a murderer, and her biological grandmother is also a murderer from Scream 2. So she's got to have some shit going on with her. So you could either turn her, Or is there anybody else that would come after her now? Like, how?
Here's what I would love to
Scream
see.
Yeah.
I would love to see a Scream movie from the perspective where you know who the killer is immediately.
Oh,
And
right
their
off
whole
the
thing.
rip. That's a
So
great
like
idea.
so you follow them the whole time.
That's a fucking
So
really
if you
good
do
idea.
that, right? It's like that whole process, and like there's got to be like scenes with them with like notes and like pictures in front of them, because this whole thing has to be planned out ahead of time.
Yes.
So that is the movie I would want to see.
Oh, that's real. That's a real. I've never even thought of that. That's an awesome
Yeah.
idea. And yeah, so you eliminate the who done it, but then again, there's sort of also a who's gonna find out kind of thing. Like
And
how do they stay one step ahead of everybody else?
yeah, and I would love to see them do it successfully. No,
Oh,
honestly.
the killers, you mean? I think it's a movie.
Yeah, no, I would love to see. So it's kind of like Seven. So you like, and they talk about, and that's one of the things that the killers talk about. Like, you've seen Seven, right? Where this whole thing was planned out, and it played out just the way that the killer wanted it to.
Oh,
Like that's the
yes.
so you reference that movie and then have them plan the whole thing and do it, because it has to be two of them, right?
Has to be two. That's what
And it's got to be like, okay,
possible too.
right?
And then they're like, all right, we like one person we think might be kind of on to you or whatever, so we need to set up an attack where you're with them, and then get you off the hook. And
I'm telling you,
I like that a lot.
awesome.
And then you can pull up all of the 5 killer, or I guess 9 killers from the Scream movies. You can have them being like, all right, why did this guy get caught?
Exactly.
Why did she get caught? And then
So
you can relive some of those. That's a fucking awesome idea.
It's a horror version of Ocean's 11.
Yes. Where is this?
It's like two people. I'm telling you, this could work. This could work.
What would you call it?
Creamed.
Cummed.
Cream jizz.
You'd call it jizz, right? You'd call the movie. Oh, god damn it.
Yeah.
That's a fucking awesome idea, though. I never even
heard it. You heard it here first. There's timestamp it. Monday, January 17th, 2022 at roughly 9:50 p.m.
Title of the film.
Any of these little fuckers ever pop out of the fucking wall and say, fuck, there's a horse cock in my room or a donkey dick?
Ed Von Moose, The Scream. I can't top that. I'm not even going to try to come up with anything better than that.
Call it Ghostface.
Ghostface. Boom. Just like they did in Saw. They just called Jigsaw.
There you go.
Instead of Saw. Ghostface. Bang. And would you bring back, I guess you would bring back all the survivors from this one, right? And then you have to come up with 2 killers.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe one of them is an overlap. Maybe one of them's new or something like that. Because you still have Sam's alive, Tara's alive, Sydney's alive, Gail's alive. Both of the Meeks, they showed Chad and Mindy. The Chad scene, it looks like just like Dewey from the second one, the first one. And so Chad and Mindy are both still alive.
Because they gave each other like the thumbs up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it. Because
so you could even do it. It's the Meeks kids. Because they're like, if you're gonna fight, because I feel like they would have enough trauma at this point to be like, look, if you want to fucking do it right, this is how you do it.
That's true. Yeah, Meeks kids would be pretty good.
Yeah.
And they know all the movies too. So
exactly. So they know everything. And it's the
right.
sister driving it.
And then
by the way, she was my favorite. Yeah.
Oh, Mindy was your favorite?
Yep.
Yeah, Mindy was really good. I liked Sam, to be honest. I'm pissed about how old she is. Like, she needs to be a little bit older, but I thought she was good. I wanted to like Wes. He didn't really get much of a chance. So yeah,
but you pin it on Sam. That's the twist at the end is you pin it on Sam.
Yeah.
And she goes down for it.
Right. Yeah,
because everyone in the town hates her anyway. She's the daughter of a serial killer. She's the daughter and granddaughter of a serial killer. So like, there you go. It's easy. This is an easy movie to write.
Oh my god, they could watch Mindhunter. They could watch all these other shows.
Oh my god, can you imagine them like taking notes and shit?
Open up like a whole documentary thing too, which they haven't really done in these Scream movies.
Oh yeah,
and there's probably a bunch of movies. Like find the movies in which the killer gets away. Find those movies. Be like, all right, you gotta use these ones. Would you bring back Sydney and Gail, or would you give them the movie off?
I would end the movie with them talking about how they're going to go get Sydney.
Yeah, set up the next one.
Gail would be in it from afar.
That's like doing like the reporting of it.
And the whole thing is going to be like, we can't bring them. They cannot come here. Because if they come here, like, then it's over.
Oh, I love it. That's awesome.
So you have to do it in such a way that they are out of the loop.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah, I love the idea. You do a whole entire movie and you have them, like you said, with like pictures and like basically like the murder board, and you have
they got the Pepe Sylvia board.
And the Pepe Sylvia. And then at the very end of the movie, they're like, all right, what's next? And then one of them just hands the other one a picture of Sydney. You're like, there we go.
Let's go.
And then the next one is
and like a blueprint of like her house.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Or even like surveillance. Like one of them already took surveillance.
Yeah.
And it's Patrick Dempsey walking around with the kids in Sydney.
And the dog. And
God,
it's like a blueprint of the house and then a picture of them walking on like doing like a family picnic or something.
Oh my God. It's the greatest goddamn movie of all time.
I love it.
So
just
good.
Did it. Mm-hmm.
I just did the damn thing. Anything else Scream related? I'm trying to think. I'll probably think of a ton of shit right after we sign off here. Yeah. I think we kind of throughout hit on favorite and least favorite characters, favorite and least favorite moments. Or who's your least favorite character, by the way?
Billy Loomis.
Oh, see, I like Billy. You didn't like Billy in there?
I did. I also didn't like right off the rip. I didn't like Amber.
I didn't really like. Oh, you didn't? Well, you were maybe
didn't like her face.
I didn't really like Liv for some reason. I wasn't a fan of Liv, and I'm glad
useless character. Like, the whole thing with like the boyfriend and like that was so stupid.
Yeah, I didn't like Liv, and I was kind of on Richie, and so in a way, it was like I'm kind of glad he ended up being the killer because it kind of made it made enough sense. And like you said, Dewey was like, "Well, how long have you known this guy?"
I'm like,
"Yep," I'm like, it's fucking him.
So dumb.
And obviously, like the first attack, Richie's not there for.
Right.
But sometimes you can be on the nose, like Tara was texting with Amber, and then all of a sudden you're like, "Oh, Ghostface got Amber's phone."
Oh, they got her phone. Like, no, they didn't. It was just
Ghostface is
again
Amber.
Yeah, like no one fucking put that together. Yeah,
pretty good. Well, no, but sometimes though, I do feel like, oh, it's too obvious. It can't be. And I even felt like the very first time I watched Scream, Billy Loomis was pretty fucking obvious.
It was pretty obvious, yeah.
Billy Loomis had the cell phone thing. They were playing Don't Fear the Reaper when Billy first arrived into Sydney's room. Underneath the background music is Don't Fear the Reaper.
But I think the big reveal in that movie was there was two.
Yes.
It wasn't just one person. So 100%. that was the big thing that they kind of did on their own.
Which I loved. I thought that was a great idea to have the two. Mm-hmm. And that's why I'm glad they went back to the two, or they continued the two in this one.
Yeah.
That's that.
Good shit,
Scream.
man.
Let us know what you think at Dork Podcast on Twitter and Instagram, dorkpodcast@gmail.com. If you agree with me more, if you agree with Davey more, or really just cut to the chase and let us write the next one. Oh, by the way, I meant to mention this. The directors, it was a two directors, just like two killers, two directors of this movie, same guys who directed Ready or Not. Did you see that movie?
I did.
What did you think of that?
That was a good movie.
That's pretty awesome, isn't it?
That was a good movie. Yeah.
It's not streaming right now. I
bet it's on what's the Shudder or something. It's probably on like some horror movie site.
Maybe it's none of the ones that we have is it on, but hopefully it'll make the rounds there. That came out 2 years ago, and if you guys haven't seen Ready or Not, definitely check that one out.
With the girl who looks like Margot Robbie but isn't.
Samara Weaving, who is the niece of Hugo Weaving.
There it is. It's all nepotism.
Adam Brody is in that movie. Adam Brody also in Scream 4. So there you go.
There you go.
All together.
Pick of the bomb. Pick of the bomb. Pick of the bomb.
Pick of the bomb. All right, Ryan. Would you like to kick, receive, defer, or you may also choose at this time to defend a goal?
I am going to kick to start the half.
All right, I'm going to receive. Just mention, I've just been making the rounds so far on podcasts. So I probably should have mentioned this at the beginning, but I did a preview of the Scream movies with Pop Culture Piledriver. I just did a Build a Batman on the Mac and Goo podcast with Goo and Chris Scheim. And tomorrow I am on the TLDR podcast because Saga is coming back this month. One of the best comic books ever written. So we're going to sort of remind everybody what was going on and talk about what we hope will happen on Saga. So I'll tweet all those out at Dork Podcast. Yeah, go ahead.
I am going to tune in on that because I am in the process of reading Saga right now, thanks to the Hoopla app, which I finally got. I read the autumnal and now I'm reading Saga again.
Awesome. How good was the autumnal?
That was good.
Yeah.
That was good.
All right, what do you got?
Has the movie rights been bought for the autumnal?
Ooh, good question.
Because that would be good.
Should be.
Should be.
Yeah.
These are easy. I mean, these are one of my favorite shows and a new favorite. So again, we talked about them earlier. If watch Peacemaker, watch Afterlife. I started watching this documentary. It's older. It's a documentary about a church in Tennessee. Hang on. I gotta find it. It's
what is it
called
on?
The Way. It's called The Way Down. It's on HBO Max.
HBO Max. Okay.
It highlights the founder of the controversial Brentwood Church in Nashville. This woman is insane, and these people are insane. So it's basically just like a cult where she started like a religious weight loss program.
You know what? I think Katie might have watched this.
It's good. I'm into it right now, and I think it's a mini series. I haven't watched all of it yet, but I watched the first episode and a half today, and I was captivated. So. Speaking of whodunits.
By the way, sorry, I was a little bit distracted there. They just released, and so I know this is only for the people listening live, but they just released the Moon Knight trailer. I just tweeted it out at Dork Podcast. You can go on Twitter and check out the Moon Knight trailer. I have no thoughts.
Go watch that right now.
I'm going to watch that as soon as we sign off. I'm very excited for that. So that'll do it. And by the way, next week, we're going to do 2022 movies. So, in addition to Scream, we're going to rip through all the movies that I think are going to have any kind of possibility of us watching.
Yes.
I'll probably still miss some, but I have a long list of movies, the most anticipated, all this other stuff. I will check that out. Oh, by the way, in the chat, Joshua mentions Silent Sea. I watched this. This is subtitles. It has two of the same actors from Squid Game. Not as good as Squid Game, but it was kind of cool. Basically, there's a water shortage on Earth, and they have to go to the moon and try to get like this shit there. So it's like a sci-fi type of joint. Not bad. Not bad. Not the best. Not the worst. But next week, 2022 movies. You can rate, review, subscribe to the podcast on wherever you get your podcast. Also follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Dork Podcast. Subscribe to the YouTube channel as we inch ever so close to 1 million YouTube subscribers.
Almost there.
Right, you don't give a shit about anything, do you?
What'd you say?
I said you don't give a shit about anything, do you?
Not really.